So we are very lucky to have Dieter here today. He is a commercial pilot, accumulated thousands of hours on Lear Falcons, past South African Unlimited Aerobatics champion, 7th place in the World Aerobatic Championships, Australian Intermediate National Champion in 2013 and 14, and gold and silver medal winner at the Intermediate World Aerobatic Championships, where he placed first in the free program and second overall. So, with that, Dieter, you've got big, welcome, and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much, David. I'm going to speak a little bit about the sport of aerobatics and what we do, and also just integrate a little bit what we did at the Intermediate World Aerobatic Championships. We have this sport called aerobatics, and it's divided into 6 particular classes. So anybody can get into aerobatics at any level and participate in the sport and be competitive, and the class will determine how difficult or how easy you want to make it, and there are challenges in each class as you move up through the classes. So we have entry, graduate, sportsman, intermediate, advanced, and unlimited as classes. This is what the sequence looks like for the entry program. Now, this is an aerobatic language that a lot of you will be familiar with, called Arrestee. It was developed in the 1930s by Count Jose Louis Arrestee, who put together a language for aerobatics, and we all follow this language, and it's very, very self-explanatory actually. Once you get to know it, it's very easy to work with. So in the entry sequence, what you would be doing if you joined this class or competed in this class is a loop. Maneuver number 2 is a stall turn, followed by a wing over, a barrel roll, and then a 90-degree turn, a 270-degree turn, and then the last maneuver, number 7, is an aileron roll. You see at the bottom there's a total K factor of 71. So each maneuver gets given a difficulty factor. As it becomes more complex, it has a higher K factor, and those numbers then get multiplied out by the judges' scores, and that's how you ultimately get your final score in a competition. So we all start off with 100% at the beginning before we get airborne, and then the judges deduct for every fault that they can find with your sequence as you fly it. So it's one of those sports where you always chase perfection, but you never quite get it. So it makes you want to get up there and do it the following time, and so on and so forth. Moving into the next class, graduate. So we have graduate as a slightly more challenging class, where we will incorporate a half Cuban, as you can see in maneuver number 3. And then number 4 is the classic Immelman, which was a First World War maneuver to get out of a dogfight or when someone's on your tail, which is a half loop with a half roll off the top. We have a 1.5 turn positive upright spin. The 2 turns, the same as the entry, and then the aileron roll as the final maneuver. Now you can see the K factor has gone up a little bit to 82. We then get to sportsman, which is a class that has one difference in that you are also given an unknown program to fly, which is a 3rd program in the competition. You can elect to fly the known program, which is this published program, and by the way, these get published once a year, and they get flown for the entire year by the categories. And you can also design your own free program, or if you don't feel like it, you can elect to fly the sportsman known twice in the competition. So this is a sequence that can be flown by a Cessna 152, and it's quite capable to be flown in the right hands by even aircraft like Tiger Moths. If JD gave it a go, he'd get that right. The sequence is designed to be all positive upright, so you don't need an inverted oil system or fuel system to be able to get through the sequence. It starts off in this current year with a Humpty Bump, which is a positive pull Humpty Bump, vertical line over the top with basically a small half loop, vertical line down and come out and back into wind and into what we call a sawtooth, 45 down line with a half roll, and then into the half loop with the roll off the top, a 1.25 turn spin into a stall turn. On the way down, you do a quarter roll, followed by a classic Cuban 8, and then say 180-degree turn with a 2 or 4 hesitation roll to one direction and a half roll to the other, followed by a 270-degree turn. This is the class that we find most people get into fairly quickly. They'll do the initial maneuvers and then they'll move into sportsman, and it's a lot of fun as a class. There are a lot of people that stay in the class and just keep their hand in, and certainly it's an easy class for people to get into, have fun and enjoy their aeroplanes. And then start getting a little bit more challenging. We get into intermediate, where they introduce snap rolls. So the sequence that we have in intermediate for 2015 starts off with an avalanche, which is a snap roll at the top of a loop, followed by a sawtooth into a half loop with 2 of 2 and or a half roll and then a 2 of 2 opposite roll, a half snap with a half loop pull down, and then into a Humpty with a quarter roll on the way up, stall turn, quarter roll down, into a P loop with a roll as you come out of the maneuver, into a goldfish with a half snap roll on the 45 up line, and then a 2 of 2 on the next 45 up line. And then they introduce rolling turns as well in intermediate. So this would be a 90-degree half roll rolling turn. You'll classically see an aircraft doing a 90-degree rolling turn where it does a complete roll as it transitions through 90 degrees. In this case, you do a half roll where you transition through 90 degrees. We then move up to advanced, and as you see, it starts getting more complex. They start putting more figures on the lines to each maneuver. The K factor goes up, and they start introducing things such as inverted spins, which is the 1 1/4 spin that's in the shaded in red. And any lines that are upside down are the dashed red lines that you see there. So this sequence will start having outside or inside, should I say inside rolling turns, but starting off negative, ending up negative, or inverted to inverted. And you can see there's a P loop that's inverted, there's an inverted 1 1/4 turn spin. So the class starts becoming more challenging, and then you move through to unlimited, which starts using negative snap rolls and often incorporates tail slides as well in the sequence. So those are the various classes that you can compete in, and as I say, it's a lot of fun. We have serious fun doing this as a sport over the weekends, and it's always nice to compete because it puts a little pressure into the situation and gets you to hone your skills a little bit more. Aerobatics is very well supported in Australia, and we have a regional competition in WA, as each other state has as well. And we've been holding the WA regionals at Murrayfield. We have a collection of aircraft, decathlons, extras, Pitzers, that we've had one designs here before as well. We've got a Kristen Eagle, a fair amount of aircraft that come and compete at these comps. And we also elected to have a Cessna 152 class at the last regionals, which was very well supported, and we'd like to encourage that again so that RACWA members can bring a 152 down and come and compete in any of the classes, but particularly aiming towards sportsmen or maybe graduates, see how they feel about it. And we are there to judge, and we're there to help critique and also help train up or give ground critique when you want to practice. So, you know, the club's always available for that, and we have practice days where you're welcome to come and join. And we felt that the 152 class worked very well. We also had a sponsorship for RACWA instructors that we paid their entry fee and their fees for the membership for the year if they came along to join the comp, because we felt that you know, they aren't always able to afford to fly, but they do the instruction, they know how to fly the aircraft, and it's very good for them to be part of that. So we are going to encourage that at the next regionals again, and have these sponsorships for RACWA instructors to come along and participate in the comp. You've all seen aerobatic pilots do this crazy dance called the Arrestee Dance, and what they do is that they visualize the sequence before they fly it. So they walk through the entire sequence, and in their mind they fly the sequence. And there's Kev doing his thing. I think he's gone to sleep there. You pulled too many G's on that one. And that transitions into the cockpit. So you visualize your sequence, and then you take it out and you fly it. And it's very important, particularly when you get to the unknown sequences, which you aren't allowed to practice ahead of time, and you fly the sequence in your mind, and then you go and put it into practice for the first time with the aeroplane, and that's the flight that you get judged on. Aerobatics isn't only about being a pilot. There's a very strong contingent of people that judge and are involved with the sport as judges. Internationally, there are a lot of what we would call professional judges, or people who are involved in the sport and they've chosen the stream of being on the judging panels, and we obviously welcome anybody who wants to get involved with judging. We had a lot of fun at Serpentine this weekend, and these guys sitting at the table here, Mike and Willem was there as well, and all judging the comp and assisting me with the judging that we did, and it worked out very well. There's an online judging course that you can do, and it teaches you how to become a judge, and from there it's just putting it into practice. And so a lot of people like to be involved with the sport as judges, not only as pilots, and then also you can get involved as an assistant, and we welcome all the assistants that we possibly can get at these events. Picture of Richard Wiltshire, our current Unlimited champion, who's from WA in the MXS. We always end the evening with a prize giving, or end the comp with a prize giving evening, and medals and certificates and trophies are handed out, as with all these flying events that we do. From there, I'm just going to briefly move on to the national championships. Last year we held them in Waikerie in South Australia. The previous year was in Temora, and this year they are going to be in Temora again in the last week of October. The national championships is when you get all the people from the various states coming into quite a large championship. It becomes quite competitive, but a lot of fun as well. And it's a really nice group of people to be involved with. We have our daily briefings, we have our weather briefings, and from there the comp gets going. Again, starting off with your known sequence, followed by your free program, and thereafter you go into your unknown programs. Some pics from the Waikerie Nationals. We have official practice days, and there are 10-minute slot times allocated, and you put your name down and you choose your slots, and then come out and fly in the box, which is always good to fly inside of the Aerobatic Box at the championship venue. Once that all happens, they line up the aircraft pretty solidly in terms of getting the flights out, and it's one flight after the next, with the judges out in the judging line waiting with all the paperwork ready, and they churn the flights out, because a lot of the time there's a lot of pressure either through weather or weather delays. So when the weather's good, we need to get all the flights out that we possibly can. I'll take you through the Intermediate World Aerobatic Championships. I was fortunate enough to represent Australia at the Intermediate World Aerobatic Championships. This is the first IWAC to be held. It was held in Mossel Bay in South Africa. And we met up in Johannesburg. I had a very good friend of mine, Mark Jeffries, ex-British Unlimited champion. Him and I used to compete together many years ago. He came out and assisted me as my trainer. We got together in Johannesburg and got into this extra called ZSEXE, and that was the team that was involved with getting this aircraft commissioned and up and running in Johannesburg. And from there we saddled up and we headed off to Mossel Bay, which is on the southeastern coastline of South Africa, near the Cape. A very beautiful part of the world. And we headed off down there, but unfortunately the weather was, there was inclement weather at Mossel Bay for the first day that we planned to arrive. So what we did is that we ended up flying to a place called Beaufort West in the Karoo, which is sort of like a semi-outback area. Not as large as Australia, but still quite large in South African terms. And there's this wonderful motel there where you can literally walk out of your hotel or motel room and step into the aeroplane. And we spent the first day practicing there. We got some good solid practice flights in. And then we, just here's a picture of the weather that it looked like at the time. So it was quite a heavy system that was moving through. Anyways, we got some good practice in, and obviously before any competition you want to get as much practice done as you possibly can. Picture of Mark. From there we ended up at Mossel Bay, and the competition began in earnest. There was a big Eastern Bloc contingent as well, flying Yak 52s in the Yak 52 class, and they're very popular aircraft still today, and an array of aircraft, of all sorts of aircraft. The Aerobatic Box is a good picture of a Google map depiction that the British team actually used for their flight planning before the competition. So we have a 1,000 cubic meter box that we fly aerobatics in. So it measures 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters, and then it's 1,000 meters high. And that's the box that you need to fly inside for your aerobatic maneuvers. So everything strictly needs to stay inside of that box, and it takes a little bit of practice. And when you first fly a sequence, you feel like you're not going to fit it in the box, and as you do it more and more times, it starts tightening up, and then you do get it inside the box, and it all works out. So very important to get that center cross and where you position to the judges. The judges will be positioning on one of the horizontal edges, just a couple of hundred meters in from there or out from the box, and you need to bear in mind where they are and how you position yourself and how the aircraft looks to the judges, because that's all that matters really. I was fortunate enough to draw beer can number 33. You don't want to draw an early flight sequence at a World Championship or at any comp. It's nicer to be in the midfield, let the judges get warmed up, get to understand how the flow of the comp is going, what the conditions are like. You can read the other flights for drift and see how, if they've got any issues with coming out of the box anywhere. And so I was midfield, and that was my first draw. And we got underway and flew the first flight, which was always first flight is the icebreaker, and you've got to get past that, and then the comp happens from there. I ended up flying 10th in the first sequence, and then in the second sequence in the free program I managed to get a first place, which put me at second overall. Judges liked my flights. I was very happy with the final result there. Some more pictures of Mark and I. Mark obviously giving me a lot of valuable critique in between flights, and the coaching was very important, just to see what others were doing and what we needed to do and where we needed to tweak the flight. And that's where we ended up in the final results, and we're very happy with where we ended up. Obviously there could have been more flights, but there was some weather that stopped it, so we didn't get to fly the third unknown program, and so the comp was awarded on what we had achieved till then. You need to have a minimum of 2 flights completed for a comp to be completed. So that's where we ended up, and it all worked out very well, and it was very good for us to put Australia on the map, and we were very happy to be part of the team. It's our prize giving evening. They sort of lay it on, and it's a very well attended international event with your full international jury and international panel of judges. That was the final prize giving evening. They play the anthem of the winning country for each flight, and then the overall winning team and the overall first place. Some photos of the various teams. As you can see, Belgium and Canada and Russia and Australia. The South African team, obviously the host country always puts on a very strong team, and it does make a difference. They did feature very well, being in their own box at home. And so how can I get involved? As I said before, you can get involved as a pilot, as a judge, or as an assistant. And we'd like to work closer with RACWA, because we believe that there are a lot of complementary situations here working with RACWA. Certainly Gary's put his decathlon on the line here, which is about to happen, and we hope that we get a lot of support and maybe get RACWA members to come and fly some aerobatics with us. The nice thing about flying aerobatics is that you don't have to go out and fly for 2 or 3 hours as you might want to do on a good cross-country flight. You don't have to spend that much money. An aerobatic flight lasts 10 or 15 minutes, and then you've had your fill and you need to have a rest. And you might do 2 of those in a day and go home. So it's a lot of quality flying that you do in a very short period of time. So, for those that are interested in terms of being at RACWA, whilst training as a student, you can request that aerobatics be incorporated as part of your training. You get a logbook endorsement that by your instructor, who must already be approved to give aerobatic instruction. I think there's some changes coming in the Part 61, but basically you need to have the 5 basic aerobatic maneuvers: loops, rolls, snap rolls, flick rolls, stall turns, and spins. And then all the other aerobatic maneuvers are a combination of these 5 basic maneuvers. This can take 5 to 10 hours of flying. And once you join the Aerobatic Club, you may benefit from the expert critiquing from the experienced competition pilots. And once you've obtained your basic aerobatic endorsement, you'll be restricted to performing maneuvers above 3,000 feet initially. And then you can train for your low-level aerobatic approval, which permits you to fly maneuvers into certain categories down to lower levels. And the minimum level for competition is 100 meters for unlimited, above ground level 330 feet. Contests are held on a regular basis to increase the competition experience. And there's also an online judges home study course that can be done and is required for all intermediate and higher pilots to have completed, so that they can also assist on the judging line. I'm busy with an initiative in the club at the moment to bring 2 international judges out for our nationals this year, so we'll have 2 World Championship judges joining us, and from that we're going to be growing a lot more local homegrown judges, with the idea to eventually produce Australian international judges so that they can go to World Championships and judge internationally. It's very nice if you can bring a team across and bring your judges and trainers and everybody from your own country across. It just, you know, makes for a better team experience overall. So if you want to get involved with us, we are around. We all mostly are RACPA members. You can get hold of Adam Gibbs, who's our club president. There are his contact details, or get hold of me or any of these guys here. And please come and join us. Come for a training day, come down to Murrayfield with us and do some aeros and just have fun. It's quite easy to get involved, and being a local West Australian chapter of the Australian Aerobatic Club member, you can get into the club without having to spend hefty fees. It's not expensive to be a national member either, but certainly it's a lot cheaper just to be a local chapter member. So that's it from my side. What I thought I'll just end off with is we were involved recently with the Awesome Global Stars Aerobatic team at the Avalon Air Show, and I have a video clip from the air show which I'd like to play for all of you, just to give you some experience of what went on and what we did at the show. if you want to have serious fun with your aeroplane, please get involved, and we certainly do. And I hope that this has been an enlightening presentation. And are there any questions?
How do you keep your blood in your veins and arteries?
There is a technique for that. Certainly when you're pulling positive G, what you do is that there's a technique for tensing up your muscles, pretty much like when you're shouting, and that gives you a little bit more time of useful consciousness, which you need. And by keeping the blood pressure up in your head as long as you can, tensing the lower part of your body. And obviously when you're doing negative G, you want to relax completely. You don't want to have any pressure, because it's going to pull the blood further in your head. So you just relax when you're doing negative.
I notice when you're sitting in the aircraft, you're sitting as we are in seats. Isn't the trend now to have pilots more prone?
It did go that way, but it seems to have really become just a little bit, inclined, but not as much as it was with that idea before of being, completely 45 degrees. Yeah.